A famous movie dialogue says, "In this world, the greatest warrior is a mother." It feels true. A mother is the one who fights the entire world to protect her children. She does everything for her children that no one else can. But is every mother truly like this? You might say yes, but we claim that after watching this video till the end, your opinion might change. Today's story is more terrifying than anything you've heard before. It's about a mother who crossed all boundaries of cruelty. What is the complete story of this spine-chilling house of horror? Stay with us till the end of this video to find out. Before moving forward, don't forget. This story begins in the United States, in Michigan's largest city, Detroit. In the eastern part of this city lived a woman named Mitchelle Blair. She was a mother of 4 children. Due to some disagreements, she had separated from her husband and lived alone with her children in a rented house. Initially, she managed expenses, including school fees and household costs, by working multiple jobs. However, after some time she lost her job and her financial troubles began to grow. For a while, she borrowed money from friends and relatives, but how long could they keep lending? Eventually, they started refusing. As a result, Mitchelle Blair failed to pay her rent on time. Months passed, but she couldn't clear her dues. To manage expenses, she even pulled her children out of school, saying she would homeschool them. When the rent arrears reached approximately $2,000, the landlord asked her to vacate the house. Despite repeated warnings, she neither paid the rent nor vacated the property. Finally, the landlord approached the court, and on March 24, 2015, a team was sent to evict her. That morning, Mitchelle Blair and her children were not at home. The eviction team knocked on the door several times, but received no response. They eventually used a spare key to enter the house and began the eviction process. As they moved furniture and belongings outside, they found a freezer in the living room. When they tried to lift the freezer, it felt unusually heavy. Curious, they opened it. Inside, they found it completely filled with ice. To make it lighter, they began removing the ice. While clearing it, they noticed a large plastic bag buried underneath the ice. Upon opening the bag, they discovered a horrific sight, a young girl's body. Shocked, they immediately called the police. When the freezer was further emptied, another body, this time a boy's, was found. The discovery horrified everyone present. The police launched a manhunt for Mitchelle Blair. Based on tips from neighbors about her usual hangouts, the police eventually tracked her down and arrested her within hours. At the time of her arrest, she was with her 2 remaining children. When questioned about the 2 missing children, she avoided giving a clear answer. The police then brought her back to her house and asked her about the bodies found in the freezer. Once again, she failed to provide any satisfactory explanation. All she could say was, "I'm sorry." What led to such a horrifying act? What was the story behind these innocent lives? Stay tuned as we unravel the chilling details of this case. When Mitchelle Blair fails to provide satisfactory answers, the police arrest her and take her into custody. Once in police custody, an intense interrogation begins. What emerges during this questioning shakes everyone to their core. According to Mitchelle's confession, an incident occurred in August 2012. One day, as Mitchelle returned home from work, she found her youngest son, Matthew, engaged in unusual behavior with a plastic doll. Shocked, Mitchelle asked Matthew, "What are you doing? Where did you learn this? Has anyone done something like this to you?" To her horror, Matthew admitted, "Yes, Stephen does this to me all the time." Stephen was none other than Mitchelle Blair's elder son. Furious beyond measure, Mitchelle stormed up to the second floor where Stephen was in his room. Bursting in, she demanded, "Did you do this to your brother Matthew?" Stephen's hesitant yes ignited Mitchelle's rage. Without a second thought, she punched him in the face. The assault didn't stop there. Mitchelle unleashed a flurry of kicks and blows until Stephen fell to the ground. In her rage, she grabbed a large plastic bag nearby, wrapped it around Stephen's face, and continued beating him. When Stephen regained consciousness hours later, Mitchelle resumed her attack. This time, she poured boiling water on his private parts, causing the skin to blister and peel. To silence his screams, she stuffed a cloth in his mouth and continued her torment. Afterward, she tied a belt around Stephen's neck and suspended him with it. As soon as Stephen lost consciousness, she threw him to the floor. This cycle of brutal torture continued for 2 weeks. On August 30th, 2012, Stephen succumbed to his severe injuries, dying a slow and painful death. At the time of his death, Stephen was only 9 years old. To conceal the murder, Mitchelle took extreme measures. She placed Stephen's body in a deep freezer located in the living room. She warned her other 3 children, "If any of you tell anyone about this, you'll meet the same fate." Out of fear, the children stayed silent. Life carried on as though nothing had happened. The children had already stopped going to school, and their father was absent from their lives. The neighbors, too, were unaware, as Mitchelle had little interaction with them. Even family members remained in the dark due to strained relationships. 9 months passed. Stephen's body remained in the freezer, but in May 2013, another horrifying incident occurred. According to Mitchelle's confession, she discovered her daughter, Stoney Ann Blair, engaging in inappropriate behavior with her younger brother, Matthew. Enraged, Mitchelle lost control once again. She severely beat Stoney, locking her in a room without food or water for several days. Mitchelle only opened the door to continue her physical assaults. Eventually, in May 2013, Stoney succumbed to the abuse. At the time of her death, she was just 13 years old. After killing her daughter, Mitchelle placed Stoney's body in a large plastic bag and stored it on top of Stephen's corpse in the freezer. Mitchelle admitted that after these murders, she had considered turning herself in to the police. However, her youngest son, Matthew, pleaded with her, saying, "I can't live without you. Please don't leave me." Instead of surrendering, Mitchelle went to the market, bought more plastic bags, and continued to hide the evidence. She kept the bodies in the same room where she slept, right next to the deep freezer containing the remains of her 2 children. She used to sleep peacefully, unaware of what was unfolding. This shocking revelation came to light in 2015. Mitchelle Blair had been living in this house with 2 corpses for the past 3 years. The 2 surviving children were so terrorized by her that they couldn't utter a word, no matter where they went. When the police interrogated Mitchelle Blair, they asked, "Weren't you afraid while doing this? Or do you feel no regret about murdering the children?" She calmly replied, "I have no regrets because those 2 never regretted what they did to their brother." This statement alone was enough to reveal Mitchelle's insanity. She went as far as saying, "I didn't kill my children, I killed monsters who had become predators." After this horrifying confession, the police immediately took the 2 surviving children into custody. They sent the 2 recovered bodies for post-mortem and autopsy. Multiple serious charges, including murder, were filed against Mitchelle Blair. The legal proceedings for this case began in a local court. In the early hearings, the parenting rights of Mitchelle Blair over the 2 surviving children were revoked. The children were handed over to Child Protective Services, from where they could be adopted by another family. Throughout the trial, Mitchelle showed no signs of remorse. In court, she would constantly yell at the judge and other officials. When asked why she made such a drastic decision, she explained, "When I was a teenager, someone did inappropriate things to me. When I told my mother about it, she said, 'Don't tell anyone and forget about it.' Following my mother's advice, I stayed silent, but the abuse happened repeatedly. I couldn't do anything because I didn't get any support at home." Mitchelle added, "I've been through the pain of abuse. When I told my mother and she didn't take any action, I felt betrayed. I didn't want my youngest son to go through the same pain I experienced. That's why I decided to punish those 2 children. They deserved it." Finally, after a lengthy trial, on June 17, 2015, Mitchelle Blair was found guilty of the murder of both children. She was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. The court made it clear that she would spend the rest of her life behind bars. Mitchelle had claimed that the 2 children had abused her younger son, which led her to kill them. However, further investigation found no evidence supporting her claims, making her accusations seem fabricated. As of now, there is no official information available about the surviving children. To ensure their safety and privacy, all details regarding them have been kept confidential. Meanwhile, Mitchelle continues to serve her life sentence in a Michigan prison. Even when the court sentenced Mitchelle Blair to life imprisonment, her expression remained indifferent. She didn't display any emotion and refused to appeal the lower court's decision in a higher court. Mitchelle Blair's crimes have undoubtedly tarnished the sacred and revered image of motherhood, yet there is no denying that a mother, in her truest sense, is the greatest warrior in this world. If you appreciated our efforts in sharing this story, please like and share this video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit the subscribe button now and turn on notifications by pressing the bell icon. See you in the next video with another true story from the world of crime. Thank you.